Hello everyone and welcome to Shardfall. And today I want to show you the chunk system I've been working on, why it exists, how is it going to help the project without destroying my PC. So the first question is, why am I making a chunk system? Not every game needs a chunk system, but a chunk system can help optimize the world and make rendering a little bit easier. I will give you an example. This is the prototype of the game, Shardfall, in its most basic form. There's nothing crazy going on here. You're a little guy and you shoot zombies that come by. You grab your crystals and you shoot the zombies, and that's pretty much it. But one of the concerns and problems that showed up is with zombie count. Now notice that I'm playing this map with absolutely no world. These are just collision blocks. There's no visually world, there's nothing going on. We're rendering at 230 FPS, maybe 240 max. And let me show you what happens when I start placing zombies down. So you will notice very quickly the FPS tanks. With 301 zombies, I'm currently running 39 FPS. And even when I leave, I'm only gaining about 10 FPS. That is a problem. And this is why I developed that chunk system to fix that problem. So what is the chunk system I'm going to be using in the Shardfall project? Well, let me give you a demonstration. This is the chunk system. As you can see, the purple lines are visually showing the chunks. As a reminder, chunks aren't a physical thing. They're just a collection of object IDs in a grid that is assigned to objects, like a folder. Each one of these is kind of like a folder, and each object is a piece of paper, and they're just transferring each folder. And then as the screen is rendering, I'm just grabbing all the folders that I would see and taking the piece of papers out. Now this is a lot more efficient than the way I was doing it, which was just grabbing all the pieces of paper and rendering them. So as you can see, I'm currently rendering 144 zombies and keeping 180 FPS. Although 180 FPS is perfectly fine, this is rendering at 3 times native resolution. If you notice, the game runs at 840 and that is running at 1920 by 1080. One of the other things you'll notice is the green blocks. So you can see each one of these is a 64 by 64 tile. Not only are we rendering the 144 zombies, we are also rendering grass blocks. I have it set to currently, I think, 100,000 through this whole world, 100,000 grass blocks, and I have it set to 300 zombies. As you can see, as I move my camera out, I'm updating, calling in new chunks, and just updating the zombies position on that one. I leave those chunks, they'll kind of stay out of the way. Here's the player, and I'm currently rendering 164, updating 210, so there's more coming there. And as you can see, FPS is working perfectly fine. What you're seeing now is the editor, the beginning stages of the editor. This is where I'm demonstrating the chunk system. Now, a couple things to mention. One of the things I mentioned was the grass block versus the zombies. Now, that is very important that these are two different types of objects. One object is a dynamic object and the other is a static. So as you can see, the grass object is a static and the zombie is a dynamic. Static objects do not move. Once they are called in to a chunk, that is where they will belong until you close the game. Dynamic objects are called into a chunk, but allow updates. In the chunk system, update dynamic objects. Dynamic objects can be updated and moved through different chunks. So as you can see, as the zombies move, they are entering new chunks and being transferred the ownership to different chunks. Now, one of the things I would like to mention is, like I said, we're rendering at 3 times the native resolution. If I were to render this at the native resolution the game would run, you would notice that the FPS skyrockets to 1,000, and when we're rendering the grass and zombies to 600. Yet again, that is way above what we need. So when I run these tests, just know I'm currently stress testing, and we're rendering at the editor's resolution, not the game's resolution. Why I spent the time making this chunk system and going through 4 different iterations is because this will help, so when the game gets to the point where people can play it, there won't be a performance issue, because we use the chunk system and it's better optimized for the engine. That's really all I wanted to show today, was the chunk system and kind of the progress on the game. We're far from being close. There's so much more that needs to be done, and for whoever's watching this, probably have no idea what this project is about. I plan to make more videos. This is Shardfall, a top-down survival story-based shooter. For everyone watching, thank you. Please like and subscribe to give me courage and oomph to keep on making this project. Thank y'all for watching. Welcome to Shardfall.